Hi everybody, today we're working on a 2006 Toyota Sequoia. This is basically the same as a Toyota Tundra pickup. This car has a blown front shock. When the owner took it in for some other service, fluid started dripping out of the bottom of the shock. So rather than paying a shop to do the work, he's going to have me do it. There's two ways you can do this job. One, you can replace the entire strut, which includes the spring and the tower and the mount and all that stuff. But I like a bit of a challenge, so I'm saving the owner some money. We're buying just the shock, and we're going to disassemble the spring and move all the other components over to this shock. These are really affordable. These are Monroe Sensatrac shocks, and I'll put a link in the description for where you can get this. The kit includes the bushings and all the other hardware you need to install the shock. You will need a spring compressor to do this work. If you don't own a spring compressor, your local auto parts shop may have one that you can rent for free. Okay, first we need to take the wheels off. So we need to put some jack stands under the frame of the truck. And I'm going to use a wood block because my jack, the range isn't high enough to actually get the wheel off the ground because the vehicle is so high. And you don't need to raise it a lot, just enough to get the wheel so it's not touching the ground. My jack stands aren't tall enough. I'm usually working on passenger cars, so I'm putting a couple of wide blocks of wood under here to give me the height I need. Okay, now we can see the work we need to do. Real simple. There's a bolt at the bottom, and there's 3 bolts on top. Do not remove the 4th center bolt. And we can see the strut is clearly leaking hydraulic fluid. It's already made a giant puddle on the floor here. So we'll loosen the bottom one first. We'll tap the bolt out. Next we can remove these top nuts. These look like they're 14 millimeter. I'm going to loosen the back 2 nuts, and then I'll finish up the front one by hand. There's resistance here because the strut is being pulled down by gravity. So I'll push up from the bottom by hand while finishing to loosen it up, and then we can pull the strut completely out of here. And it just falls right out. Alright, before disassembling, I'll just kind of visually verify that we got the right part here. And it looks pretty accurate. Now we'll go grab our spring compressor tool. I'll put a link in the description where you can buy this tool. So you want to line up the tool and make sure it's straight in line with the spring. And you want to put them on opposing sides. And be sure to put a little bit of oil on the threads too so you don't get binding. And also wear safety glasses, of course. And avoid putting your hand or face in this general area. And just run down these spring compressors a little bit at a time. And you want to keep cranking it down until the hat is no longer touching the spring. So I'm turning the 17 millimeter nut at the top here. The strut is rotating freely inside the spring here. So I think actually if I remove this nut, the hat might come up a little bit, maybe, just about this much. And I think I have enough tension on the springs to disassemble this. So I'm going to really carefully loosen this top nut and see what happens. Okay, looks like the tension is off the spring and I still have a little nut travel here. Okay, got the hat off. We're going to reuse this part. I'll take the spring on out of there. Go get the new one. We'll put the adapter piece on. Spring goes on over the top of that. I'll put the new bushing on here to take off the old one. The new one goes in like that. Line it up with the contour of the spring. Run it on down. A vice grip on here to stop it from turning. Now we just loosen the spring compressors each side a little bit at a time until all the pressure's taken back off. All right. Can put this assembly back in the car now. We'll guide the top in first. We'll just kind of hand tighten these first just to hold it in place. All right, once you get everything in place, you might find that the holes don't line up, that the new strut is a little bit longer than the old one because it's not worn out. So what I do is I put a pry bar here, pry over the top of the caliper to kind of force everything back in place. Then I put a 3/8" socket extension into the hole. Then from the back side, we can work the bolt back into the hole. So I'll start just by tapping with a hammer until the threads start to catch. There we go. Once the threads catch, I can run it down with the socket. And once the bolt's gone most of the way through, we can use pry bars and pry until it lines back up. Not the most fun part of the job. So now we can go ahead and tighten it back down. This bottom nut should be 100 foot-pounds. And the top 4 14 millimeters, you should tighten them down to 47 foot-pounds. And that's all there is to it. Repeat on the other side. Same procedure. Put the wheels back on. So there you have it. Replacing the strut on a 2006 Sequoia. This procedure should work on all of those same generation Sequoia as well as the Tundra. Be sure to watch my other videos. Click like if you like this video. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.